Hello, welcome to Cthulhu Reviews. So today is a show review. I was fortunate enough to be able to go to a Wargames show on my way on holiday. So I've been away on holiday for a few weeks in France. You probably saw the video I did from the Rifles Museum in Winchester. So I was a bit gutted I missed the Glasgow Wargames show on the Saturday. I had to work. On the Sunday I was travelling down to Portsmouth so I could get a ferry over to France, and I was able to stop in at Penrith at the Phoenix Lakeland Wargames exhibition in Penrith. So that was the rather nice ticket we got. Penrith, so it was at a centre called the Reggae Centre. I'll talk about that in a wee bit. And I've got a soft spot for Cumbria. I used to live in Carlisle for 3 years. So I was looking forward to getting down there, actually seeing what had happened and how Wargames had developed in Cumbria in my absence, and hopefully bump into some people I knew. So, Reged. So, Cumbria is a massive county, and Reged, I think, is a really good spot for transport links. If you want to be closest to the most amount of people, or Carlisle's probably the place to be, but Penrith's basically in the middle of Cumbria, and it's on the big north-south axis of the M6, but also the east-west of the A66. So I think it's a really good spot. And Reggae itself is a really interesting venue. It's odd, would be the best way. So it's kind of bits all over. It's kind of like built into a hill. It's got grass roof, but it's a very modern building. Lots of different layers, different elevators take you different places. It's almost like an Escher painting all at once. I've been to a wedding there before when we lived in Carlisle, and it's a bit like a really nice motorway services. So it's got cafes and stuff to visit as well, shops. So the family was able to go and have lunch, and I was able to go into the show for an hour. And the show had the top part, so they had, I wouldn't say they were as big as halls, definitely rooms. So they had one biggish room, one medium-sized room, and a kind of a smaller room upstairs. Place itself, being a visitor centre and it being a height of summer, was really busy, and I was worried about getting parked at one point, but we managed to get parked and get in. So in terms of a show, it felt like a small show, quite a kind of a local show. Certainly, for me, a big show would be Cannonade. This is definitely on the smaller one. I'll describe how that came later. I overheard some chatter, both from some people who were visiting and some of the traders, about it clashing with Glasgow. So Glasgow, for the first year in ages, had put on a show, and that was put on a Saturday. So I think Phoenix had to move to the Sunday. There was also a issue of Phoenix probably pulls in people from the Borders and Dumfries, that area as well. And I think there was concern that those people headed up to Glasgow and did their war game in that day rather than come down to Phoenix. Because like I say, that M6 corridor is really handy for a transport link. And yeah, so the Glasgow show has picked a really interesting time to have a show. So you've got Cannonade at the start of May, you've got Claymore the start of August, and Cannonade and the new Glasgow show falls the end of June. So actually what we've got then is May, June, July, August. We've got 4 months basically with 3 shows. I know there's Kirriemuir later on in the year, that's about October or November over in Fife way. So that means there's basically 4 months where there's sort of the big places in Scotland has the shows, which obviously leaves 8 months basically barren. I know if I was picking a time to have a war game show, I'd maybe pick February. And there's a couple of things for that. Is it spaces things out a bit throughout the year. What I hope doesn't happen is traders find their takings are down as they try and space out across 3, because obviously traders are a big draw for war game shows. and you're going to have to pay petrol, maybe stopping over costs to come north into Scotland. So it's you probably if you taking it down and your profit margins are down from travelling to shore because you've hit 3 or hit 2 and attendance is down because people are spreading out between the 3 shores. It'd be a real shame if Scotland doesn't draw more traders north of the border because we've got too many shores in such a short period of time. Hopefully I'm wrong, and hopefully us having those 3 shores work really well for all the traders, and it creates like a vortex of hobby activity. But that's my worry, that we don't draw traders north into Scotland because the profit margins are down because people are spread out and their spending is spread out over 3 shores, which would be a real shame. But certainly, anyway, back to Phoenix. So Phoenix itself, you went into the venue and it was well signposted. There was some big signage. It said it was upstairs. I think it'd be really difficult to find it without the signage. Well organised with people on the door, going in, able to let me know what was going on and what was about. Promoted in advance. So obviously, bizarrely in the week running up to the event, I didn't know about it. I think it was like the Wednesday or Thursday. Facebook advert popped up on my feed, and I was like, sorted. The stars have aligned. Can't get the Wargames show on Saturday, but I am able to go and visit on the Sunday. There's some nice games on when I went in. There's a Rebels and Patriot American Civil War game, which is quite interesting. I've got some Rebels and Patriot looking at kind of skirmishy stuff. Star Wars Legion looked like some sort of Endor battle, or maybe it's Kashyyyk, is it where the Wookiees are? Really nice Culloden in 6mm or 10mm, and quite a large Indian Mutiny game with 28mm using black powder, which looked stunning. Culloden stuff looked really interesting as well. There was another table with some games on as well, which I didn't get a chance. Which the games weren't in action. I think there might have been a sea game. It might have been Cruel Seas and another one. There's also some tournaments on in that wee room upstairs, which was Magic, Blood Bowl, and I think there was another Games Workshop tournament. This felt a bit at odds with the more historic main rooms, and it wasn't a large room, so I don't know how that attendance happened. I think if you were wanting to, like I say, just felt at odds. I mean, maybe it's an opportunity if you're running like a predominantly historic show, maybe do some historic tournament, or tip that on its head and a bit more science fiction show with kind of science fiction game and tournaments. And I think Magic and Wargaming's always an odd combination. Certainly, I've seen Magic and Wargaming rip apart a couple of really good Wargames clubs. Long story, I might share another time. Traders, so they were on the north side of 10 traders, and some of the traders, like Warlord Games, had been to Glasgow on the Saturday and were able to visit Penrith on the way back down. So actually, that was maybe a bonus of having the Saturday and Sunday. They also had a Falkirk-style flea market. So in that case, you just pay a couple of pounds for your pitch. You're able to put out what you want and sell what you want. I went in the afternoon. It was certainly after lunch, maybe it's about 2 o'clock, and I think the pitches, it might have been up to about 15, 16 pitches. There was only about 5 occupied. I don't know if it'd been busier in the morning. Like I say, there was some chatter about how the attendance had been affected. I was disappointed that Victrix weren't there, and Victrix, I want to see some Victrix stuff in the flesh, and Victrix is based in Kendal, which is like just down the road, so that was a bit disappointing. I ended up in the hour buying Perry's Heavy Cavalry to finish off my Cuirassier French Heavy Brigade. I got Old Guard Grenadier from Foundry battalion from Colonel Bills. Got a couple of the figures from Colonel Bills as well. Some metal Cuirassiers to finish off that unit, and a commander for my Portuguese. I also got some dice from Bow and Blade, so I've got some tiny dice to mark stamina or other effects in game, just so you don't end up picking them up during the game and rolling them. I like to have different dice if I'm marking different effects as well. I wanted to buy some stuff from Warlord. Didn't have it, like the bombarding frame for the British Napoleonics. Didn't have it. I'm not sure they carry all the black powder range to shows and tournaments. It's a bit of a shame considering that Black Powder 2 has been recently released and they seem to have tons and tons of bolt action. So like I say, it wasn't a large show. I shopped, I looked around, and I chatted to some folks who were new. So I met a couple of guys who I'd chatted to in the Great Game. So Ian, who I showed off in one of my videos before we walk around to the Great Game. So a bit of a natter with him. A couple of other guys I knew, Adam from sort of Lake District as well. And I felt satisfied with my hour. If I was travelling there, I would have spent a few more hours probably trying to get in with some of the games, played some of the games. Certainly the Culloden game was of real interest to me, and the Indian Mutiny game was really interesting to me, and actually the Rebels and Patriot game was really interesting to me, so I would have had a go as well. For reference, doing what I did in Penrith would have taken me a good 4 hours. So that was the show. There was also a bonus model, a freebie model for a tendon. So let's take them out with plastic baggies. So it's King Urian of Reged, so which I wasn't expecting. So I mean, I was quite happy to pay £3 for my entry, and I don't mind paying a few pounds to help Wargame Experience, especially like sort of local sort of community stuff or events. Anybody that wants to put on a Wargame show event, in my mind, gets a thumbs up and expose Wargaming. But there he is, King, and he came in a baggie with some details. So King Urian of Reged was a son, I can't pronounce ancient Saxon language, 6th century warrior king of North Reged, an earlier British kingdom. Basically besieged the Anglo-Saxons on Lindisfarne in the middle of the 6th century and was quite a warrior king. So that was pretty cool, unexpected, and like I say, Reged Centre, King Urian of Reged, bit of local history pulled together as well. So final thoughts on the Wargames show. So Cumbria is a big county and very rural. I like the show as a way for the Wargames community of Cumbria to come together. It's certainly to be set up and run by a network of Cumbrian Wargames. Like I said before, Carlisle would probably be the biggest population centre in Cumbria, but Reged, really good transport links there. One of the opportunities I saw on a wider wargaming space, and especially if you're looking at sort of improving the community of wargaming in Cumbria, is there was a lot of advertising for the event in Reged Centre, and Reged Centre was really busy. And I saw a lot of families and stuff looking at it and wanting to go. I don't know how many actually went in. So it was a real opportunity to expose the hobby and getting new people in and looking at it and potentially recruiting for your clubs and networks in Cumbria. But once they were through the door, now what? What? You know, a wargame show is a pretty daunting experience if you've never been to a wargame show before. You've got the traders, you've got the games, and wargamers are pretty chatty folks if you get them talking. But if you don't get them talking, they're pretty intimidating folks when they stood around the table looking at stuff, and they don't always make. Not all wargamers created equal. You like to think we're a nice, friendly, and inclusive bunch, but certainly I've been to a lot of wargaming events where I felt like the outsider, and I'm quite happy to push myself into conversations and engage myself. I've gone up to tables at wargame shows and just been ignored as they run their demo game. So yeah, so maybe, you know, if I was looking at as club organisers and wanted to build my network of gamers in Cumbria, maybe there's a couple of club people who, when people who were new to wargaming turned up at turned up to have a look around. Maybe it's a bit of an escort, maybe it's taking them around and talking to them about what's off, showing off maybe a couple of different skills, talking a bit about the games. That might only be a 5-10 minute introduction, but I think the opportunity there to capture some new wargamers. That might have happened. I don't know. I'd like to say I was only there for an hour in the afternoon and had my priorities with shopping, seeing what was going on, take some photos. I knew Ian was going to be there, so I wanted to chat to Ian. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the Wargame show. Really nice Wargame show. It was it had a kind of local feel. I felt that a lot of people knew each other from around Cumbria, which is nice. Like I say, I've got a real soft spot for Cumbria. I think it's useful for Cumbria. I think it was a good venue for the place, and there's an opportunity there in future years maybe to get some of those family visitors in, looking around, maybe run some demo games or something, whatever the local clubs feel passionate about. If people are going to turn up to your club in Espatria or Whitehaven, you're going to get playing what they want to play, and maybe even chat to the Warhammer stores in Carlisle or Kendal. Maybe they can have some demos where you filter new people through, because I think that's what Warhammer stores do really well, is chat to people and expose people to the hobby. But there you go, that's my thoughts on Wargame Show. I've got a whole heap of videos coming up over the next few weeks, pretty much when I was on holiday. The Wi-Fi was rubbish, so I didn't get any videos, so expect some new videos coming soon. I hope you're having a great hobby week, and all your sixes, all your dice roll the number you want. Catch you later.